You guys, this question sounds very, very basic, doesn't it? But it breaks my heart because I've had more than one person say to me, why do I do this to myself? Why do I keep going back in? What's wrong with me? There's nothing wrong with you. Please, let's just right off the bat talk about that. There's nothing wrong with you. I don't think there's anything wrong with me, but I kept going back in. Just because you have a vulnerability, that's nothing wrong with you. There is something that needs to heal, but it's why do you keep doing this to yourself? Well, we talked a lot about it. And having a whole of self-love and bringing them back into your life is a big thing. Not wanting to accept the truth of your narcissist once you find out is a big thing. Why do you keep doing that to yourself? Because you fell in love with the man in the beginning and you want him to come back. So you keep accepting apologies. You keep, because they do say they're sorry. They won't mean it, but they can say it. So let's expel that myth. I always say that. Let's expel that. Mine swore on everything, apologized, everything. They'll say anything. Why do you do this to yourself? Because you like being in a relationship better than you like being alone. I tout being alone all the time. I love it. Not everyone loves it. I know plenty of people that don't. They can't picture being alone. They're glad they're married. They could never picture living alone. Renee, how do you do it? What do you do? Oh my God. Whereas I look at my life as the happiest of many people that I know because I'm alone. I'm not alone. I have family. I have friends. I have activities. I do things, right? Why do you do this to yourself? The couple thing I find to be a very common thing. People, they're already in a relationship. They've already been in the relationship. Why would I make myself alone and get rid of him? I'm just going to find somebody else with more problems. That's a common one that people do to themselves. I'll just find somebody else with more problems. I don't care if somebody has problems. We all have problems. You follow what I'm saying? We all have problems. But what kind of issues do they have? Why do you do this to yourself is because you're ignoring the issues in front of you. Why are you ignoring the issues in front of you? Because you're very, very much invested already. Because you've already spent the time, the energy, the effort. I don't want to start over with somebody else. I've already put in all this effort. Okay, if it's a narcissist, it doesn't matter how much effort you put in. It's never going to get better. So you're doing it to yourself because you don't want to maybe start something new. Well, don't do that to yourself. Don't think about starting anything new. I'm not telling you to leave. But I mean, for those of you that are teetering on leaving, just realize that that doesn't mean you have to run out and find somebody else and have the laborious task on your brain of trying to get involved with somebody else. You might be coming off a 20-year relationship. That's not a thought you want to have, is getting involved with another person. So don't. Take it off the well, then what do you mean? I'm just going to be alone? I might be alone forever. You might. You might. But you know what? You won't be doing to yourself anymore is being in a toxic environment. You know what? You won't be doing to yourself anymore? Taking it when someone is screaming at you or calling you names or picking a fight. You know what you won't be doing to yourself anymore? Sitting there while your guy is going out and cheating on you. Or girl, you put in your own pronoun, we always say, mine is he for romantic partner, so my story follows that. Why do I do this to myself is a very common question because oftentimes, this is where cognitive dissonance comes in. We know in our brain, this is bad for us. We know in our brain all the infractions that have been done upon us. We know it, cognitive, right? The dissonance is that our heart still feels. Or we think our heart still feels. We like to believe our heart still feels because we don't want to betray our own self. Like, in other words, I said I loved him, though. I told him I loved him. I told him I loved him unconditionally. I'm not one to quit. I'm not going to quit. Okay, here's the thing. I now sit here and I'll stand and I'll tell you this right now. I never loved him. I convinced myself that I did. So what I did to myself after convincing myself I loved him was I did what I normally do when I love a person, family or friend. I'm loyal, steadfast, uncompromising, there for a person, right? So I applied those qualities that I have to him. He didn't deserve those qualities. I chose to bestow upon him those exquisite qualities. I did that. He didn't ask for it. He got it handed to him. He came in, charmed me, boom, I'm ensnared. And once I started to say to myself, why am I doing this to myself? It's when I started to see the truth in him. And then you start to look, can you hear that snoring? Is that funny? That's a French bulldog snoring, you guys. I'd show you, but I don't know how to do that. I mean, I do know how to do that, but I might mess it up. I am so sorry. He'll be on here for the rest of the video. There's nothing I can do. But once I started to see his truth and accept it, I started to look at him different, like, ew, that's not for me. No way do I want that in my life. And guess what? I stopped doing it to myself. Doing what? Putting up with anything. I stopped accepting treatment less than what I wanted. I was no longer going to do that to myself because I'm doing it to myself. They're going to act the way they act no matter who they're with. I was choosing to allow it. I was choosing to accept it. I was choosing to remain, waiting it out. Trauma bonded, waiting for the good guy to show up again. I did all that. Why did I do that to myself? I needed healing. I needed education. I needed empowerment. And with education comes empowerment, you guys. It's the tagline under this channel for a reason. And it certainly did. Empowerment definitely came. The more I learned, the more I realized, oh, why am I doing this to myself? I don't need to stay here. I don't care if they were abandoned or whatever sad story they told you from their childhood. It's not up to you to fix it. You're not their psychiatrist. You're not their parent, and they're a minor. It's not my job to fix someone, okay? And I'm not doing that to myself anymore. Goodbye. This is over. You don't belong in my space. You don't deserve to be in my space, is how I ended up feeling. And that's what I did for myself, is I exited that, made it be dead, made it so that he knows there's no way you're welcome here. And now I live a full and happy life. I stopped doing that to myself. Why are you doing it to yourself? There's a lot of reasons, but you have to look inward first. Look inward first and try to say, you know what? I am afraid of being alone. You know what? I was lonely when I met him. You know what? I did react quickly. We did move fast. I did believe the love bombing. I am waiting around for that to return. All of that we do to ourselves. And guess who can stop any moment? Us, ourselves. Keep safe, you guys. Have a good weekend, and I'll see you Monday.